Okay, good morning. Welcome to
FunMath number 144.
FunMath number 144. Sorry, I forgot my coffee. Haha. And today we got distracted a little bit. We were talking about slopes of lines, and we got on to talking about slopes of curves because you asked me about that. But so let's just real quick do kind of a fun video about slope. So here's my x and y axis, and I have a line. What does the slope of the line mean? When I say the slope of the line, what am I talking about?
Well, it means how steeply the line curves.
How steeply the line, not really curves, because lines don't curve.
But
how steep it is, like if you were just walking along the line, yeah. How steep is it? So here I'm walking downhill, so what kind of slope is that?
That's a negative slope.
That's a negative slope. Here I'm walking uphill.
That's a positive slope.
Ah, it's hard to walk up. Can you draw me a line that has a zero slope? That's a line that has zero, well, close. A horizontal line has zero slope.
So a line parallel to the x-axis.
Yeah, a line parallel. And what's a line that has an undefined slope or an infinite slope?
A line that's parallel to the y-axis.
A line that's parallel to the y-axis, right? So it's not supposed to get closer.
Yeah.
Probably something more like that. But that's fine. So it's perfectly up and down. Like it would be very hard to walk up this line, right?
You'd have to climb it.
Okay, so we talked about slope a little bit. And then you asked me a question about a curve. It turns out to be a very cool question. So you said, what if I have a curve, and I forget what you drew. You just sort of drew like a wiggly curve and said, well, what about there? So that caused me to stop and go off on a tangent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a fun question. So what does it mean? Because we can definitely, let me just draw an easier curve to see on the screen. We can definitely talk about what the slope right at this point on the curve, right? That makes sense. If we were walking up this curve, we would feel a slope there, right?
Yeah.
And this curve gets steeper and steeper, right? So it'd be harder if you were in this bowl and trying to escape, like some Dr. Evil trapped you in this bowl and you were trying to get out. It'd be hard, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but we only have one point there. So what were we talking about? How do you figure out the slope at a particular point? Do you remember what I showed you?
We make a point that's like really close to one, but not one, like right here.
Okay.
And then it goes up to here on the parabola. Yeah,
so we make a point that's really close to our point on this parabola, but it's not equal to our point. So it's not at 1, but at really close to this point. And we connect these two points. Okay? And then we try to squeeze this point closer and closer together and see what we get, right? And as we squeeze this point closer and closer together, hopefully we get a line there, and hopefully we can calculate the slope. So it's a pretty cool process. Do you remember what I told you that subject is called?
Calculus.
Calculus. And who invented calculus?
Isaac Newton.
Isaac Newton and a guy named Leibniz in Germany. They sort of came to it about the same time. So it's a pretty fun subject. Would you like to study calculus?
Yeah.
Tomorrow?
Probably not tomorrow.
Probably not tomorrow. But it's a neat subject, and it comes up all over the place. Why is Newton famous? Do you know?
Because he invented the laws of gravity.
Well, he figured out some of the laws of gravity and some interesting stuff in physics from all the calculus. You know what he did that was really famous? He did a couple of things that were really famous.
What?
Have you heard of anything? He figured out a little bit about the orbits of the planets. He figured that out. He had an apple fall on his head.
Yeah.
That was pretty famous. He figured out the laws of gravity. And it was all from calculus. And it was all from the question you just asked, or not just now, but this morning, about how when you have a curve, it's easy to understand the slope of a line, but it's harder to understand the slope of a curve. But that's what he did. All right, that's fun. Fun day today, even though it really wasn't what we were supposed to be talking about. It's still a pretty neat day, right?
Yeah.